Never would I have imagined that an empty email from an unknown sender at midnight would signal the beginning of my world unraveling. I'm Marcus Calderon, 42, serving as the COO of Novapulse, a Seattle-based biotech company specializing in intelligent medical equipment. Everything seemed perfectly aligned. I had a stunning penthouse with views of Puget Sound, an ascending professional trajectory, and a 10-year marriage to Sabrina Torres, my brilliant 35-year-old wife who worked as a data analyst, known for her keen intellect and magnetic personality. But that email, it appeared in my inbox like an ethereal warning. No subject line, just a single, fuzzy image attached. Drowsy and bleary-eyed, I opened the attachment. The image was a snapshot from our home security system. There was Sabrina, standing in our garage, clutching a wrench near my Tesla. Her expression was hidden in shadows, impossible to decipher. I dismissed it with a laugh, assuming it was either a practical joke or a technical malfunction. But the events of the following morning would shatter that assumption completely. I was driving along I-5, watching Seattle's silhouette diminish in my mirror, when suddenly my brakes stopped responding. There was no advance warning, no gradual failure. The pedal just dropped lifelessly as I approached a bend in the road. My heart thundered in my chest. The guardrail approached menacingly, promising catastrophe. I wrenched the steering wheel, sliding across 2 lanes before miraculously coming to a halt on the shoulder. Cars honked furiously as they passed. I sat there, drenched in sweat, staring at the steering wheel in disbelief. The image from the email haunted my thoughts. Sabrina with that wrench. Could it be authentic? Was this an attempt on my life? Or was someone else orchestrating events, using her as a pawn in their game? I needed to uncover the truth, and quickly. Before we continue this suspense-filled narrative, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Share your location in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe. Your engagement helps us deliver more thrilling content. I steer my car directly to Jamal's auto shop. He's an old friend from my University of Washington days, a mechanic whose expertise I'd stake my life on. That phrase carried a chilling new weight now. Seattle's relentless rain drummed against the roof as I pulled into his garage. Jamal emerged from beneath a pickup, cleaning his greasy hands. I recounted the morning's events. Without much commentary, he lifted the Tesla's hood and began his inspection. Minutes later, he gestured for me to join him, his expression grave. "Marcus," he whispered, keeping his voice down, "this was deliberate. Your brake line's been severed. A precise cut." The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. I requested he document everything with photographs, but keep it under wraps. No police involvement yet. Though visibly uncomfortable with the decision, he agreed. Whoever orchestrated this might return to eliminate evidence. I wasn't going to let them slip away. Jamal lent me an inconspicuous, weathered Ford, and I headed homeward. Throughout the journey, one thought consumed me. Who wished for my demise? Could it be Sabrina? Someone for Novapulse? Or perhaps an unseen adversary? The answers were there, waiting to be uncovered, and I was determined to expose them. The downpour persisted as I guided the worn Ford into my driveway. Seattle was drowning in the deluge, water cascading down my penthouse's glass exterior like the city's own tears. I remained in the car, engine running, observing the garage entrance. That security image of Sabrina wielding the wrench kept replaying in my mind. My hands trembled, still shaken from a near-fatal incident on Interstate 5, while Jamal's revelation echoed incessantly. Someone cut your brake line. A precise cut. I switched off the engine and emerged into the rain, the chill seeping through my clothes. The air carried the scent of wet concrete and deception. I needed to confront her, to search her eyes for any trace of the woman I thought I knew. The penthouse greeted me with an unsettling silence. No television sounds, no kitchen activity. Only rain tapping against windows like restless fingertips. I removed my shoes and moved toward the living area. Then I caught it. Movement from above, faint but purposeful, like someone attempting stealth. My heart raced. Sabrina wasn't due home. She'd mentioned a late meeting. I seized a heavy brass paperweight from the desk, gripping it tightly, and ascended the spiral staircase cautiously. Each step protested beneath me, louder than intended. I halted at the top. The bedroom door stood slightly ajar, light seeping through the gap. I pushed it open with my foot, paperweight raised. Sabrina stood there, her back toward me, frantically rummaging through my dresser. The drawers were pulled open haphazardly, with clothing cascading out as if she'd been searching with desperate urgency. She remained oblivious to my presence, too engrossed in her determined hunt. My chest constricted as questions flooded my mind. What was she seeking? Documents? Keys? Something hidden that even I wasn't aware of? I cleared my throat deliberately, the sound cutting through the silence. She whirled around with a startled gasp, a manila envelope slipping from her grasp. As it struck the floor, several photographs spilled out. "Marcus," she choked out, her hand flying her chest. "You startled me. Why are you home so early?" Her gaze darted nervously between the scattered envelope and my face, her eyes unnaturally bright. Too bright, like someone who had practiced their reactions. I manufactured a smile while maintaining my grip on the paperweight. "Car problems," I replied, studying her every movement. "Left the Tesla with Jamal. Borrowed a car that's parked outside." She bobbed her head rapidly, pushing back her hair with visibly trembling fingers. "Oh, I see. Bad timing, isn't it? I assumed you'd be at the office." Her voice was controlled, but her body language betrayed her anxiety. She quickly bent down to retrieve the envelope, hastily stuffing the photos inside before I could glimpse them. "What are those?" I inquired, taking a step forward. She clutched the envelope protectively. "Just work-related materials. Client information. You know how I worry about data breaches." The lie hung heavy in the air, as palpable as the rain drumming against the windows. I decided not to press further. Not now. Instead, I tossed the paperweight onto the bed with feigned casualness. "Exhausting day. Going to get a beer. Want something?" She shook her head while inching toward the bathroom. "No thanks. Need to finish some emails. I'll join you shortly." The door closed behind her with a click, followed by the distinct sound of the lock engaging. My stomach churned. Sabrina never locked doors around me. Never. I descended the stairs, my mind churning. Those weren't client photos. And that searching sound? She'd been looking for something specific. Something she wanted hidden from me. I opened a beer, its hiss piercing the quiet, and stood by the window, watching the blurred city lights. The brake line. The wrench. Now this. The pieces were forming an ominous picture. Later that night, after she descended the stairs with a practiced smile and casual conversation, I waited until her breathing fell into a steady rhythm beside me. Once certain she was asleep, I silently slipped from the bed, retrieved my laptop, and positioned myself in the dimly lit kitchen. The rain had mellowed to a gentle patter, its drops still tapping against the windows like nature's own warning signal. I accessed our home security system, scanning through the garage footage from the previous week. Most scenes were mundane, my daily departures, routine deliveries. Then I saw it. 3 nights prior, at 2 a.m., Sabrina, shrouded in a black hoodie, entering the garage furtively. She surveyed her surroundings anxiously before crouching beside the Tesla. The metallic glint of a wrench caught the camera's eye. She remained beneath the vehicle for 5 minutes before hastily retreating. My beer grew tepid in my grip as realization dawned. This wasn't some elaborate joke. This was deliberate. This was her. What drove her to this? Financial gain? Novapulse was approaching a $4 billion agreement. Was she aiming for complete control? Or perhaps someone else was orchestrating these events from the shadows? I needed clarity. I messaged Lena Voss, Novapulse head of cybersecurity. "System audit required," I typed. "Routine check. Maintain discretion." Her response came immediately. "We'll handle it." I reclined, the chair's protest breaking the silence. Upstairs, Sabrina stirred, mumbling in her slumber. This stranger beside me needed unmasking, and whoever orchestrated this plan had made their crucial error. I survived. The garage footage replayed relentlessly in my thoughts as I sat in the shadowy kitchen, illuminated only by the laptop's ethereal glow. The rain had ceased, leaving Seattle wrapped in a heavy, moisture-laden silence. Sharing a bed with her felt impossible now, not after witnessing that wrench in her grasp. My partner of a decade, the woman who'd share my journey, had become an enigma. Needing space to process and strategize, I packed a duffel with essentials and departed before sunrise. Sabrina remained undisturbed, her gentle snores following me down the hallway like a mocking farewell. I left the penthouse in that borrowed Ford, its engine humming softly as I navigated the deserted streets. The city seemed unfamiliar, its rain-slicked streets reflecting headlights in sharp, broken patterns. I didn't venture far. I found refuge in a budget motel in Capitol Hill, complete with flickering neon signage and worn-out carpeting. The front desk attendant barely acknowledged me as I handed over cash for a 3-night stay. Room 12 carried the lingering scent of old coffee and dampness, but it served its purpose. A sanctuary. I tossed my bag onto the creaking bed and sat there, examining the deteriorating wallpaper. How had everything unraveled so drastically? Sabrina and I crossed paths at a technology symposium in San Francisco, her infectious laughter and striking hazel eyes making her stand out amidst the corporate crowd. She excelled as a data analyst, her brilliance with numbers undeniable, and I was instantly captivated. 2 years later, we exchanged vows in an intimate ceremony atop a cliff overlooking the Pacific. I insisted on prenuptial terms. If our marriage dissolved before 15 years, she'd receive $500,000, nothing more. She signed without hesitation, claiming finances weren't her concern. I trusted her words. Perhaps that was my mistake. She embraced the lifestyle I provided. Luxury handbags from Nordstrom, wine-tasting weekends in Walla Walla, her own Tesla parked alongside mine. I didn't object. Nova Pulse was flourishing, and her happiness brought me joy. Yet retrospectively, warning signs existed. She'd disappear for extended periods, citing client meetings, returning with ambiguous explanations. My trust was absolute, maybe excessively so. Now I questioned every late-night return, every flirtatious interaction with colleagues, wondering if they were pieces of a larger deception. That $4 billion Nova Pulse deal looming overhead. Was it her target? Or was she merely a chess piece in someone else's elaborate scheme? I needed concrete evidence, not mere speculation. I reached for my phone and contacted Terry Nguyen, a private investigator I'd previously engaged to investigate a competitor. He was a lean, unassuming figure with remarkable stealth capabilities. Terry, I typed, require your services for a personal matter. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., the diner on Pine Street. Confidential. He responded with a simple thumbs-up emoji. I reclined, the bed springs protesting beneath me, formulating my strategy. I'd informed Sabrina about an impromptu Portland meeting. She wouldn't question it. Business travel was routine for me. But I'd remain here, observing, investigating. Terry could monitor her movements, probe into her activities. Meanwhile, Lena's audit might reveal irregularities at Novapulse. This wasn't mere hiding. This was reconnaissance. Dawn arrived swiftly. I endured a shower under barely warm water, the ancient plumbing system protesting with every drop. Dressed in casual attire, a well-worn hoodie and faded jeans, I blended seamlessly into Capitol Hill's morning crowd. The streets pulsed with energy as young urbanites clutched their artisanal beverages, their conversations merging with urban white noise. I purchased a simple black coffee from a street vendor, watching the steam spiral upward in the misty morning air before making my way to the diner. Terry had already claimed his spot, hunched in a secluded booth, his coffee cup half empty. His vigilant dark eyes caught my approach as I settled into the seat opposite him. Problems? He inquired, his voice rough from years of late nights. Serious ones, I responded. Need surveillance on Sabrina. Something feels wrong, potentially dangerous. His expression remained unchanged. Fill me in. My phone interrupted with a notification. A new message, subjectless, from another cryptic sender. My stomach tightened instinctively. Inside was another photograph, this one showing me departing the motel earlier that morning, hood raised, coffee in grip. Someone had eyes on me. Here. Now. I surveyed the diner anxiously. The server refilling mugs. An individual absorbed in their newspaper, cap pulled low. A woman engrossed in her smartphone. Nothing suspicious, yet my instinct screamed danger. Terry caught my unease. What is it? He pressed, leaning closer. I passed him my phone. He examined the image before casually scanning the street outside. This isn't paranoia, he concluded quietly. You're being toyed with. Retrieving my phone, I found my coffee suddenly unpalatable. Sabrina's wrenched discovery. The compromised brake line. Now the surveillance. The scope extended beyond her. Another player was monitoring me, sending messages. Terry committed to starting immediately. I'll track Sabrina, monitor communications, document every move. Complete investigation. I explained my Portland deception strategy. He acknowledged, draining his cup. Stay alert, Marcus. This has professional fingerprints all over it. I managed a weak smile. That's exactly why I sought you out. After his departure, I remained seated, fixated on the photograph. The sender knew my location. They intended to unsettle me. Frustratingly, it was succeeding. But retreat wasn't an option. I participated in their game, then flipped the script. Sabrina might be either the solution or the trap. Regardless, I refused to remain the target. I exited the diner on Pine Street, my nerves crackling with tension. The surveillance photo from the motel weighed heavily in my pocket, a wordless warning from an unknown observer. Seattle's overcast sky loomed oppressively, while moisture from the sound saturated the air. Pulling my hoodie closer, I moved swiftly, weaving through back alleys to discourage any potential followers. Though Terry was now tracking Sabrina, I couldn't remain idle in that dreary motel room. I needed action, answers. I located a payphone near a graffiti-laden bus shelter and dialed, the metal receiver chilling against my skin. "Hi, honey," I said, maintaining a casual tone. "Heading to Portland unexpectedly. Client needs an urgent presentation. Back in a couple days." Her response was immediate. "All right, Marcus. Be careful driving. Love you." The sweetness in her voice felt artificial, rehearsed. I terminated the call, my mouth bitter with deception. "Love you, right?" Returning to the motel, I restlessly traversed the threadbare carpeting, the mini-fridge's constant drone intensifying my anxiety. While Terry's investigation was just beginning, Lena might have progress. I opened my laptop, its display casting shadows in the dimly lit room, and sent an encrypted query. "Progress on the system check." She responded promptly. "Still investigating. Located encrypted files on R&D servers. Unusual access patterns. Need 24 hours. Encrypted files. The multi-billion-dollar contract hinged on our breakthrough device, a handheld diagnostic scanner with instantaneous results. If someone was tampering with that, the implications extended beyond personal threats. This affected Novapulse entirely. I massaged my forehead, trying to connect the scattered clues. Darkness descended as the motel's neon signage hummed outside, painting crimson patterns across my walls. I was consuming a tepid takeout hamburger when my phone alerted. "Terry, meet me," he messaged. "Midnight, Belltown, the Rusty Anchor. Bring money." Anxiety gripped me. Belltown represented Seattle's grittier side, filled with questionable establishments and dark recesses. I collected cash from my bag, donned a jacket, and departed. My Ford's beams pierced the dense fog during the drive, the city's rhythm echoing in my consciousness. The Rusty Anchor stood squat and brick-built, its signage hanging precariously. Inside, jazz music emanated from damaged speakers, blending with glassware sounds and hushed conversations. Terry occupied a bar stool, sipping whiskey beneath his lowered cap. I claimed the adjacent seat, discreetly transferring the money beneath a napkin. "What did you find?" I whispered, barely audible above the music. He avoided my gaze, taking another sip from his glass. "Your wife's been quite active. Had a rendezvous this afternoon at a tavern just 2 blocks away. With Owen Pritchard, your chief financial officer." My body tensed. Owen, the tall, polished executive who always seemed overly cordial during board meetings. They were intimate, Marcus. Very intimate. Terry retrieved a small recording device from his jacket, activating it. Sabrina's voice emerged, crisp yet hushed. "Owen, he's still breathing. We can't afford to wait. The deal's too imminent." Owen's response came hesitantly, betraying his nervousness. "The plan needs to be cleaner. No room for errors this time." The recording ended abruptly. My hands balled into fists. Cleaner plan. The brake tampering was their first attempt. Now they were orchestrating their second move. Terry inched closer, his whiskey-laden breath apparent. "There's more." I planted a listening device in her purse during her restroom visit. Intercepted a call she made an hour ago. Her exact words were, "Tell him it's done when I say it's done." No specific name mentioned, but she clearly wasn't the mastermind. Someone else pulled the strings. I swallowed uncomfortably, feeling the bar's stifling atmosphere. A superior player? Owen lacked the intelligence for this orchestration, while Sabrina possessed the intellect. This suggested a larger conspiracy. Terry pocketed his payment and rose. I'll maintain surveillance. Stay cautious. This conspiracy runs deeper than anticipated. He disappeared into the crowd, leaving me with jazz melodies and throbbing temples. Outside, the fog had intensified, engulfing the street lighting. My phone vibrated. Another subject-less email arrived. Opening it chilled my core. A real-time video feed showed me, currently standing outside the rusty anchor, examining my phone. Someone maintained surveillance. I pivoted, surveying the deserted street. A dumpster loomed across the alley, its cover creaking ominously. Footsteps resonated briefly before ceasing. I rushed my Ford, fumbling with sweat-slick keys. The engine awakened, and I accelerated away, tires protesting. My mirror revealed only fog, yet I sensed those watchful eyes, unwavering and focused. Back at the motel, I secured the door with a chair and collapsed onto the bed, Terry's. Revelations echoing in my mind. Sabrina and Owen's betrayal. A multi-billion-dollar scheme. Her mysterious superior on the phone. And now, this surveillance feed. They weren't merely plotting my demise. They wanted to witness my psychological unraveling before delivering the final blow. I fired off another email to Lena. Day deeper. Investigate Owen's credentials too. Opening my laptop, I accessed Novapulse's internal database, scrutinizing the organizational hierarchy. Owen's arrogant expression mocked me from his profile picture. If he was involved, who else had been compromised? Board members? Corporate rivals? Or perhaps someone operating entirely in the shadows? The room's dimensions seemed to shrink, suffocating me. Nowhere felt secure anymore. Sleep eluded me after the rusty anchor incident. The live footage of my fog-shrouded figure haunted my consciousness like a persistent nightmare. My stalkers monitored every movement, transforming the motel into an elaborate snare. At dawn, I packed my belongings, carefully removing the chair that had guarded the door throughout the night. Seattle stirred lazily, its streets glistening with lingering moisture. I abandoned the Ford in a Pike Place market parking structure, opting for taxi transportation. No more risks. I instructed the driver to deliver me to a Fremont coffee establishment, an eccentric venue featuring diverse seating and troll-themed wall art. I needed public spaces, ambient sounds, anything to silence the mounting paranoia. Nursing an over-roasted espresso, I checked my messages. Lena had responded. Meet me. Noon. Gasworks Park. Urgent. Anxiety constricted my chest. Urgency wasn't characteristic of her. She embodied composure and precision, handling technical crises with remarkable poise. I surveyed the cafe. A barista operated the espresso machine, releasing loud hisses. A flannel-clad patron worked on his computer. Ordinary scenes from everyday life. Yet I felt disconnected, like an invisible spectator. I settled in cash, abandoned my half-consumed coffee, and hailed another cab to the park. Gasworks' weathered industrial structures stood stark against the overcast sky, while Lake Union's waters gently lapped nearby. Lena occupied a bench, her cropped dark hair dancing in the breeze. Her expression remained grave as I approached. You look terrible, she remarked, passing a tablet in my direction. I responded with a weary grunt. Feel worse than I look. What have you discovered? She activated the screen, revealing a detailed spreadsheet. Someone extracted $1.5 million from our emergency reserves, traced through multiple shell corporations into a phantom account. Took considerable time to track it down. I examined the figures, feeling an icy sensation creep along my vertebrae. Who? I questioned. She navigated to a transaction log. Owen Pritchard. His authentication accessed those R&D files I monitored. He's been methodical. Marcus. Extracting blueprints. Investor documentation. Everything connected to the transaction. I reclined, feeling the bench's wooden slats press against my back. Owen, Sabrina's drinking companion, the cleanup strategist. The pieces aligned too perfectly. My phone's vibration interrupted my thoughts. Terry, I answered quietly, what's up? His voice carried urgency. Jamal's establishment burned down last night. Complete destruction. Your Tesla's destroyed. My grip tightened on the device. Intentional? I probed. Absolutely, he confirmed. Fire investigators are examining, but it's professional work. Deliberate timing. Sabrina's active too. Pike Place meeting with Owen this morning. Surveillance caught something significant. Transmitting now. The call terminated as a file arrived. I accessed it, Lena observing closely. Sabrina's voice emerged, razor sharp through the speaker. The shop's eliminated. Evidence destroyed. Tonight's the execution. Owen responded nervously. Tonight? Certain? Her reply carried glacial determination. Yes. His sanctuary options are exhausted. Lena's expression reflected alarm. She means you, she whispered. I confirmed with a tense jaw. Tonight, their offensive was imminent. The Tesla's destruction wasn't mere cleanup. It was their signal. I returned the tablet. Forward this to legal. Discreetly. I'm not finished. She paused before agreeing. Exercise caution, Marcus. Rising, I felt the lake's wind penetrate my jacket. Caution was no longer viable. Confronting Sabrina, playing her strategy, then reversing it. That was my only option. I messaged Terry, maintain surveillance. Heading home. The taxi journey home felt like a ticking clock. Seattle's landscape melted into a misty haze, the market stalls and harbor boats becoming indistinct shapes. I entered the penthouse as twilight settled, finding only a solitary lamp illuminating the living space. Though Sabrina wasn't visible, her signature scent and intense floral fragrance permeated the air. I made my way to the kitchen, deliberately pouring water, letting the ice cubes create their crystalline symphony. The sound of heels echoed behind me. I pivoted deliberately. There she stood in the entrance, wrapped in an ebony coat, her hazel eyes catching the dim light. Home ahead of schedule, she noted, her voice velvet soft. Portland concluded quickly. I maintained composure, mirroring her serenity. Indeed, everything's proceeding as planned. Wanted to catch you off guard. She moved closer, her hips swaying rhythmically, as her fingertip traced the edge of the counter. Pleasant surprises had become scarce lately. A smile played on her lips, but her eyes darted beyond me, focusing on the hallway. My nerves tingled with unease. Someone else was present. That when I caught it, a subtle, scraping sound from above, like footsteps on wooden flooring. An intruder lurked upstairs. Waiting. The recording had mentioned tonight. My glass landed on the counter with a thud, water rippling inside. I maintained my focus on her. Hungry? I inquired, keeping my tone deliberately casual. Her smile strained slightly. Yes. Let's keep it brief. I nodded, my heart thundering. Brief. Because they'd planned for this to be my final meal. I maintained the charade, retrieving dishes from the cupboard, using the noise to mask my frantic strategizing. Sabrina approached the refrigerator, turning away from me. I discreetly pulled out my phone, sending Terry a single-word message. Now, if he was nearby, the planted device would capture everything. The scraping sound returned, more distinct this time. Approaching, I turned, dish in hand, catching a figure's movement on the upper landing. Wide frame, something metallic catching the light. Owen? Or perhaps her superior? Sabrina continued humming, retrieving wine, seemingly unaware of my watchful gaze. Or expertly feigning ignorance. The atmosphere grew heavy, each moment like a countdown to disaster. I wasn't merely at risk. I was trapped in their crosshairs. The figure above shifted position again, a massive outline against the dim penthouse lighting. My grip tightened on the plate, its sharp edge pressing into my skin. Sabrina remained by the refrigerator, pouring wine into glasses, her haunting melody at odds with the anxiety churning inside me. Either she hadn't noticed the noise upstairs, or her acting was impeccable. I placed the plate down, its sound echoing in the quiet, forcing composure into my voice. Which wine tonight? I asked, approaching the counter. She looked up, hazel eyes gleaming. Red, she replied, pushing a glass forward. It suits the occasion. I forced a smirk, accepting it, but glanced back toward the stairs. The figure had vanished. Temporarily, I tasted the wine, its bitterness lingering on my tongue, while observing her casual posture against the counter. Terry's message weighed heavily in my pocket. The moment had arrived. The concealed device in her purse captured every syllable. My task was to keep her engaged, revealing more. How's your day treating you? I asked, gently swirling my glass. She took a sip before responding, hectic. The date is chaotic with this upcoming deal. Her smile appeared forced, fingers drumming against her wine glass, a subtle, nervous gesture I'd previously overlooked. Or perhaps ignored. I inched closer, nodding. That's understandable. For billions, quite the stakes. Must have everyone feeling the pressure, right? Her drumming ceased abruptly. A momentary crack in her composure revealed itself as her eyes narrowed, before she released a hollow laugh. Everyone except you, Marcus. Always so composed. The staircase groaned, louder this time. Sabrina jerked upright, her glass rattling against the counter. I turned deliberately, pulse racing, as Owen Pritchard's imposing figure emerged into the kitchen's illumination. His disheveled appearance, loosened tie, rumpled shirt, and the crowbar swinging from his right hand painted a menacing picture. Perspiration glistened on his brow. "Marcus," he stammered, "wasn't expecting you back yet." I placed my glass down with measured precision. "Owen, here for some late-night drinks." His grip tightened visibly on the crowbar, eyes darting toward Sabrina. She stepped forward with practiced elegance. "Easy, Owen. He's just being hospitable," she commanded sharply. I flashed a cold smile. "Exactly. Plenty to share." But tension radiated from Owen as he shifted uneasily, the crowbar twitching in his grasp. Sabrina glided beside me, uncomfortably close, her perfume overwhelming. That's when I spotted a metallic gleam in her hand, a compact but lethal blade emerging from her coat. My breath hitched. I maneuvered carefully, keeping both in sight. "What's this about?" I questioned softly. "Kitchen prep getting intense?" Sabrina's smile disappeared. Owen attacked, swinging wildly. I dodged the whistling metal, seized his arm, and twisted forcefully. His yelp accompanied the crowbar's clatter. Sabrina lunged, blade flashing, but I thrust Owen into her path. They collided with the counter, wine glasses exploding in crimson chaos. I retreated toward the living room, my chest heaving with exertion. Terry's surveillance device had better be recording all of this. Owen struggled to his feet, muttering expletives, while Sabrina regained her balance, the knife still gripped firmly in her hand. Her eyes blazed with an unfamiliar intensity, completely unlike the woman I'd exchanged vows with. "You should have remained in Portland," she snarled. I let out a harsh laugh. "And missed this performance? Come on, Sabrina. Tell me why." "Owen first." I turned to him, my fist tightly clenched. "Speak up, or I'll damage something irreplaceable." He hesitated, then deflated, his resistance crumbling. "It was her idea," he confessed quietly. "She pulled me into it, promised to split the money from the deal. I sabotaged the breaks, took the money. But she kept pushing for more." My jaw clenched. 1.5 million. That's what Lena discovered. Owen nodded miserably. "She wanted you eliminated, Marcus." "Complete control." Sabrina scoffed, stepping across the shattered glass. "Don't play righteous, Owen. You were enthusiastic about it." She turned to face me, knife unwavering. "You're too naive, Marcus. That deal belongs to me. Novapulse is mine. I just needed you eliminated." Her voice was glacial, each word piercing. I stared at this stranger wearing my wife's face. "What about Jamal's fire?" I questioned. Her lips twisted. "Loose ends. Evidence disappears quickly in flames." I shook my head, repulsed. "You're deranged." She shrugged. "I'm calculating. There's a distinction." Heavy footsteps approached outside. The front door shuddered, then burst open. Terry charged in, wielding a gun, flanked by two men in dark jackets. "Drop it," he commanded Sabrina. She startled, the knife clattering to the floor. Owen raised his hands, whimpering. Terry nodded toward me. "Recorded everything. The bug worked perfectly. Police arrive in 2 minutes." I exhaled heavily, legs unsteady, collapsing onto a stool. Sabrina glowered, her beauty distorted by fury. "Think this concludes matters?" she hissed. I met her gaze, now composed. "For you?" "Absolutely." Sirens approached, growing louder. Terry's associates secured Owen's wrists with zip ties, his head bowed. Sabrina stood rigid, fists clenched, as police lights strobed through the windows. I retrieved my phone, her words echoing. "Tonight. Complete control." She'd nearly succeeded. Nearly. But I'd reversed the game. Officers flooded in, shouting commands, restraining her as she hurled curses at me. I watched them escort her out, the penthouse suddenly vast and desolate. Terry squeezed my shoulder. Holding up, I nodded, feeling numb. Yeah, let's finish this. The penthouse felt like a desolate void as law enforcement escorted Sabrina and Owen away, their venomous threats dissolving into the darkness. Seattle's luminous skyline sparkled through the expansive windows, unmoved by the evening's tumultuous events. I remained in the kitchen, broken glass crackling beneath my feet, the atmosphere thick with spilled Cabernet and residual tension. Terry remained by the entrance, his weapon secured, his team conducting a final sweep for anything the authorities might have overlooked. "You holding together?" he inquired, his tone gruff but reassuring. I nodded, massaging my tense neck muscles. "As well as possible. I appreciate everything, Terry." He acknowledged with a brief nod, adjusting his cap. "Reach out if needed." Then he departed, leaving me amid the ruins of my existence. I collapsed onto the sofa, the cool leather against my spine, my gaze fixed on Sabrina's discarded blade. It caught the light from the city below, a silent reminder of how close I'd come to death in my own residence. My phone's vibration jolted me from my thoughts. "Lena." I answered, my voice raspy. "Yeah." She was direct. "Legal team has everything secured. Owen's admission, recordings, money trail. Sabrina's access to Novapulse is terminated. Police discovered more, a disposable phone in her jacket. Multiple calls to an unknown number." My stomach churned. "Her handler?" I questioned. "Possibly," Lena replied. "They're investigating. Watch yourself, Marcus." I ended the call, her warning resonating. Safety had become foreign these past weeks. Dawn brought Seattle's characteristic drizzle. The downtown law office overlooked the ferries crossing Elliott Bay. The attorneys were brutally honest. Sabrina and Owen faced serious charges: attempted homicide, conspiracy, major theft. The stolen millions remained frozen offshore, mostly recoverable. I initiated divorce proceedings that day, the prenuptial agreement intact. Sabrina received her predetermined share, nothing extra. But Novapulse suffered. The billion-dollar deal disintegrated when the scandal emerged. Investors fled, media exploded. I stepped down as COO, passing leadership to Lena. She deserved it, and I needed distance. Despite the board's pleas, I departed, finding betrayal's burden outweighed any financial compensation. I sold the penthouse within a week. The glass walls held too many haunting memories. I relocated to a modest house near Lake Washington, finding solace in its simple porch and tranquil water views. Meanwhile, Sabrina fought the accusations. Her calculated performance of charm and fabricated tears splashed across local media. She claimed victimhood, painting Owen as the mastermind who terrorized her into compliance. The recorded evidence swiftly shattered her deception. Owen crumbled under pressure, accepting a plea deal and revealing every intricate detail of their scheme. Both received minimum 10-year sentences. Justice prevailed, yet the void they created remained unfilled. The case took an unexpected turn. Terry contacted me 1 month post-trial, his voice strained with urgency. The mysterious block number led to a Tacoma payphone, where local police apprehended a suspect. The man, a former convict working as hired muscle, confessed to surveillance and email harassment for payment. When I pressed Terry about the mastermind, he hesitated. The suspect remained silent, but carried a recent post-arrest photograph of Sabrina. From my lakeside porch, listening to gentle waves in the darkness, I felt an intensifying unease. Someone continued manipulating events from the shadows. Was this Sabrina's final act of revenge, or an unknown puppet master I'd failed to identify? The uncertainty lingered like an inescapable phantom. The aftermath devastated my life. Divorce proceedings stripped away not just financial assets, but my capacity to trust. Novapulse survived, but barely, and I stepped away from the corporate arena entirely. My social circle dissolved as friends retreated, either embarrassed or unwilling to choose sides. I transitioned to independent consulting, accepting smaller projects to maintain stability. Lena remained constant, and our relationship evolved carefully, without pressure. The lakeside residence became my sanctuary for rebuilding. Yet their web of lies extracted a heavy toll, destroying my marriage, career, and sense of security. All because I missed the malice behind their facades. This experience taught me about deception's insidious nature. It infiltrates silently, becoming lethal before escape seems possible. Trust remains a risky investment, and I bet wrongly. But survival depends entirely on personal choice. You either succumb to the darkness or fight your way toward light, emerging stronger and wiser. I chose resilience. Life's inherent chaos and unfairness persist, but so does my determination to move forward. Our story concludes here. Did the ending meet your expectations or surprise you? Share your thoughts below. If this journey captivated you, show your support with a like and subscribe for future adventures. Thank you for joining us, and we'll meet again in the next story.